Hi, everyone. Here we're going to be talking about software structure, operating systems, and software access. And we're going to be covering the information system overview, operating systems, directory and file structure, software program, software compatibility, installation and upgrading, and licensing and distribution as well. So here first, I wanted to provide and go over an overview of information systems. And I wanted to highlight the different components and how they interact. So this is an abstract and generic view, and then I will go over some specific examples. So often one of the components of information systems are people themselves. Human beings use computers, they use software programs, and they are an integral part of the system itself. They're, of course, the creators of the systems, but also users. So people usually interact with software and hardware at the same time because hardware requires software to be installed. We have talked a bit about hardware. Now we're moving to the domain of software. Computer hardware usually need a basic program called an operating systems that enable all other specific applications or programs to run. This may be Windows 7, but it may be others as well. And there are various sets of applications that we call software and enable us to interact with the computer for specific functions. Often these computers that we are connected to, they are connected to the internet. They're connected to the internet in various ways, as we have talked about, and it's actually usually uncommon or rare when you're not connected to the internet. So being connected to the internet is the norm, not the exception. When we are connected to the internet, we are usually connecting to computer servers. So we're connecting to computer servers because the computer servers are the ones who run the programs. Now there is the intermediary here, right? The internet service provider, and they have their own computers, but their computers are not really storing programs and storing data, although of course they do indeed do that. They're just enabling your computer to access computers of organizations, firms, shops, and ultimately other people itself, because there is kind of a cycle, right? For example, if you send a message to somebody via Facebook, your message goes to the computer servers of Facebook and then back to the computer of your friend when you send that message from Facebook to the computer of your friend, and they can see your message. So often when we connect to the internet, we're connecting to other computers that are running the programs which are operating on our hardware, on our mobile device, on our desktops. Also and of course, these computer servers, they're just computers just like, or very similar to the ones you have at your home. They require operating systems like Linux. Linux is a special kind of operating system that's very good for large scale applications. There are other programs to enable and respond to the internet connection. So we've talked about web software, web server software itself, other programming languages that are written to provide web or internet applications and so on. This is just an example of 3 here, but there are hundreds, if not thousands. And the other major component are the database servers. Now, usually there are specific servers separate just to store the data. And those are also connected via the internet to the computer services that usually run the applications. So in a way, it's kind of like a small microprocessor. I don't know if you remember talking about the microprocessor. In one side, we have the stored memory, and then in the other side, we kind of have the computational logic, and the computation is usually here, and then this data storage is usually here in a separate computers. Now, this is just an analogy with a microprocessor. You don't need to take this too far. The fact of the matter is that there are computers that are hosting the applications like Facebook, YouTube, your library, service program, and so on. But the data itself, the data, for example, of the records of all the books that a library has, of all the purchases that were made on Amazon, are on separate computers, which are specifically only designated to store database, and they have their own operating systems, and they have their own specific database applications, softwares themselves. And of course, once again, as the information kind of usually goes one way, requests come, database are accessed, and then information comes back this way and gets provided back to the user. So this is how the information ecosystem works, and these are some of the major components. Here, I wanted to actually go over a brief example of how we already have operated components of this ecosystem. So when we were creating our web site, our web page in our website project, we used the FTP client application that was running on our computer, which is a software program. And we use that to upload our document, our HTML document, our web page document to the server. So we actually kind of send, right? We send the document to the server that is hosting that HTML web server, so that other people can then access the data. So now in this project, we actually didn't go to use database servers and software. So we just kind of uploaded to the web server, a computer server that is run by Wayne State University. And then you can use that same computer to then read your web page via the web browser, because since we uploaded on the correct HTML folder of the web server, it enables anybody with a computer and access to the internet to go then and see the page that you did upload. Now, in our other project where we use the database, what we're doing is we are connecting to a database server. We're connecting to a database server, and it has specific database software called MySQL, and that is specifically to structure data records in a very organized way to facilitate and improve efficiency of data management. So in both of these projects, both the web page development example, but also the database project, we are engaging with components of these various parts of the information system ecosystem that we use today. Here I have another example, just to I don't want to go over too much on this one, but just in case, just to kind of see a different side of the information system ecosystem and components. And here's an example of a very popular music playing software called Spotify. So Spotify is a music listening software program, and we usually run it on a computer hardware. It can be a desktop like this, or it can be a kind of a phone on a mobile device. And usually what we download is called the client application, just like we were using the FTP client, because client is on the user side, not on the developer or the host side. So we use the client application, and it has a particular set of functions, has a particular look. You can play the song, you can move the song around, you can put a playlist into it. But once you do that, you're always connecting to a server that Spotify hosts. You may have a piece of the application in your computer, but it has to connect to the server, because what's usually happening is you are streaming the data in real time. So you ask for the song to play, and then it replies and plays and does play the song. Now you can download Spotify songs into your computer, but the main idea about it is that you actually stream the music over the internet. And certainly on the Spotify side, as their own business, they have their songs and their music all stored in a database server, organized in something like a relational database program. So the Spotify itself as a company, they need to operate both their data management area, the development of the application on the back, we also call this the back end, and also the configuration and functions and graphic user interface on the front end, also called the client side. So that's a set of examples I wanted to bring to clarify the information systems overview, and we'll continue on with other topics.